Today on Street Rodding American Style, we're in Wichita, Kansas for not just a car show, but a car event. It's 3 days packed full of some awesome rides. We're going to take a look at a 1959 Ford Ranchero, a 65 and a 67 Shelby, a 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, and a 1928 Ford Roadster. They're all awesome, and they're all next here on Street Rodding American Style.
Support for Street Rodding American Style is provided in part by BG Products Incorporated. BG Products Incorporated is dedicated to making vehicles last longer and perform better in the meantime. In shops all over the world, BG Products serves the driving public with innovative products and proven programs of automotive maintenance. More information can be found at bgfindashop.com.
They make you look, dream, and sometimes even wish. These are street rods, built or just owned by those who have the same passion. My name is David Wolfe, and along with Simon McCormack and Patricia Brown, we travel to admire these passions. These are works of art and are designed with the personality and the ingenuity of the owner in mind. Built in garages, barns, and even under shade trees in communities all across this great land of ours. This is more than just a hobby. This is an addiction. This is Street Rodding American Style. Today we're going to Wichita, Kansas for an awesome event.
Well, when you say awesome, man, you got to be talking about Blacktop Nationals.
Oh, you are so correct. Let's go. I'll tell you what, let's not waste any time. We're out of here.
We are here today at the Blacktop Nationals, and it looks like the rain is going to hold off, so that is exciting.
It is.
I am with Rick Knuckles, and he is the president of Blacktop Nationals. Rick, thank you for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia.
We are so excited to be here. This is definitely more than just a car show. This is an event. What makes this an event?
Well, we actually have over 20 activities during the week. It started off on Thursday night, and autocross going on for people that want to race their cars. We have events inside. The Ford display is incredible. You actually get to race on a dyno if you want to.
So you have some things outside and inside just in case there's some rain, right?
Mm-hmm. We're expecting over 600 cars, depending upon the weather, but as you can see behind us, there's all kinds of beautiful cars, and a lot of people. We're expecting over 140,000 people that we had last year as well. People are loving the Shelbys and all of the cars that are out there now, and so the people of today can enjoy the same thing that we experienced back in the late 60s.
Okay, speaking of Shelbys, I heard you owned one of these. Is this true?
Well, I do. We just finished up a really pretty, I think, Night Mist Blue 67 Shelby GT500.
So I heard that there's a mystery behind this car. Is that true?
It's embarrassing for me to talk about it a little bit, but it's got an interesting story behind it.
Okay, well stay tuned because we're going to find out the mystery behind Rick's Shelby.
We're out here at Blacktop Nationals. It's a rainy day, but you can't stop street rodding. That's why John's here with his awesome Ranchero. John.
Yes, sir.
I gotta know more about this thing. Tell me all about it.
59 Ranchero.
In 1959, a postage stamp would cost you 4 cents. The #1 movie of the year was Ben-Hur, and the first pictures of Earth were taken from space.
Featuring a 312 Y-block automatic, got the 22-inch torque thrusters, 8,500 actual miles.
Well, hold up. 1959 car.
Yes, sir.
8,500 original miles.
That's correct.
How'd you come across that?
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been in storage for about 40 years, and I came across it. A good buddy of mine said, John, come take a look at this car. And went over and looked at it, and I ended up purchasing it. And just a beauty of a car. Had about an inch of dust on it when I bought it. And
how many years in storage?
About 40 years.
John, you got it for sale?
Yes, sir.
It's awesome.
Yes, sir.
It's been sitting in the garage for 40 years, inch of dust on it. What do you think it's worth now?
Well, I'll tell you, it's OBO. I think, you know, it's worth 20 grand plus.
Why on earth are you trying to sell it for 20 grand?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd like to find it a new home, somebody that'd appreciate it, and also I've got a few other projects I'm working on I'd like to complete.
Yeah.
So, but if I don't sell it, I'm not going to be mad about it.
Well, it's a good one to hang on to. It's a beautiful car. I noticed you went with the 22s on there. Now, in 1959, 22s were unheard of. I imagine that you get a little bit of flack from the purists out here saying, why on earth would you do that to that car? What was your thought process?
Absolutely, and I understand the purists, but I wanted to fluff the feathers of the older generation.
That's street rodding, man. That's cool. I mean, you take a car, you can just do whatever. You get creativity into it, you can throw it on there, and it still looks awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, we got a stock motor in this thing.
Stock motor, 312, bone stock, purrs like a kitten.
You haven't done anything to it?
Haven't done nothing to it.
Probably a tune-up after 40 years.
A little bit of a tune-up, maybe some new points and plugs, but other than that, not much.
I noticed the bumpers on this thing, they're black.
Yes, sir.
That wouldn't have been black in 1959, right?
No, sir, chrome.
What'd you do?
Well, I'll tell you, when I bought the car, the bumpers were misplaced. He pulled them off, so I had to buy a whole nother vehicle just to find these bumpers.
You bought a whole nother car just for the bumpers?
Yeah, and I got the radio too. So 2 bumpers and a radio, I had to buy a whole nother 59.
So you're expecting 20 grand out of this thing. Does that come with 2 cars?
Well, they got some extra parts for it.
Awesome, awesome. That's pretty cool. Give us something to back up on.
Yeah.
Tell me what else we've done in here. How about the interior?
The interior isn't quite done yet. It's got the original seat, just a cover on it, but the door panels need done and some carpet. But I left the carpet out so that people could see that there's no rust in this entire car.
There's no rust?
No rust.
8,500 original miles, no rust.
That's right.
And you got it the way it is.
I got it the way it is.
So aside from the wheels and the bumper and the radio, what else have you done? Well,
I tell you, there's new weather stripping, there's new body mounts, all new rubbers on the car. But I got a different mirror on it. Doesn't have the original mirror, but other than that, not a whole lot.
Well, it's an awesome car, man. It's got sleek lines. It's beautiful. One of the things that drew me to it, the taillights on this thing are monstrous.
They're big.
That's what they did in '59.
Yes, sir.
Apparently nobody could see.
That's right.
This thing's awesome. I mean, you can definitely see it. It stands out. Do you get a lot of thumbs up driving around in it?
I do.
That's cool, man. It's a shame to part with it, but if you have to keep it, if nobody buys it,
I'm not hurting.
It's a nice car to hang on to,
absolutely.
Man. Very cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, I got one final question for you.
Yes, sir.
I gotta hear this bad boy. Can you fire up that original motor for us?
Absolutely.
Let's hear it, man.
All right.
Okay, Si, I just looked outside and it is raining like crazy.
You're right, it is.
And I think David is caught up out there.
Well, that's okay, because at Blacktop Nationals, there's a ton of events going on inside.
That's true.
A lot of sweet rides, too. We can go find something in there.
Okay, that's cool, but what about David?
As long as we're dry, who cares?
I'll buy that. Okay, we are here today at Blacktop Nationals, and I am with Brad Sweet. He is one of the volunteers here. And, I'm looking, there's cars outside, and there's some fabulous cars inside. How do you get your car inside?
Well, this is our $1 million car display, and although all the cars in here are not necessarily worth $1 million, there are some very rare cars. We've got cars in here that have never been seen in another car show. This is their first time in here.
That is amazing. I'm looking around and it is spectacular. You got to tell me about some of your favorites.
I'll tell you, one of my favorites is this 1956 DeSoto right here, and there were only about 1,000 of these produced.
Okay.
Has some unique features. It's gorgeous, been meticulously maintained, but one of the things it has is what's called highway hi-fi.
Okay.
I guess this was the predecessor to having an iPod you connect to your car. What this is, it's a record player. It plays a 7-inch record.
Okay, wait, a record player inside the car?
Believe it or not.
No way.
Yes.
That's credible.
Yeah, it had a 7-inch record, would spin at 16 2/3 RPM.
Okay.
They said it would play for about an hour. The amazing thing was, they said it wouldn't skip unless you got up above 130 miles an hour.
Okay, well, it would be skipping, I think, if I was driving it, so we know I can't play a record while I'm driving this car. So like, what's on the playlist,
I don't know. I doubt it's anything popular.
No Metallica and nothing like
No,
that.
I don't think so.
Are there actually records in the car right now?
Yes, the owner actually has some of the original records. I think he said he had 7 of them.
Okay, that is incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. Okay, so I'm loving this DeSoto. What's your next favorite?
Well, follow me. I've got another good one for you.
Okay, I can't wait.
All right, come over here. Well, this is one of my favorite cars, one of my other favorite cars. This is a 1965 Shelby GT350R R-Met Racing. And
that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
So tell me a little bit about this car.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fred, the owner, is right over there. Fred, do you have a second? Can you tell us about this car?
All right, Fred, I'm told you're the owner of this car. Is that true?
That's true, I am. I have been for 38 years.
38 years. Okay, it is in the $1 million car display here. $1 million, what's that all about? How did it get in here?
They only made 36 of these cars that were strictly for racing only. This happens to be the very first one sold by Shelby American. The car has been raced at Daytona. It's been raced at 12-hour Sebring races. Raced around in mid-Ohio, and I've raced it around here at Lake Captain and Ponca City.
Okay, so you have raced your $1 million car?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I still do.
Give me a little high five for that one. That is awesome. I love that. Okay, what's top speed?
We've been clocked at 162 mile an hour out here at Lake Afton.
162? That is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You only driver? You let anyone else drive the car?
To be honest, no, I'm the only one that's drove it.
Would you allow anyone else to drive this car?
Well, I'm a little picky.
You are? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, it's got a 289 engine in it, Ford 289 Comp Cobra engine in it. We turn it up about 8,000 RPM, and we're estimating somewhere around 400 horsepower.
400 horse.
Ford advertised it as a fireproof interior, Shelby did, which is absolutely no interior whatsoever. So that's why it's fireproof.
That's why it's fireproof, because there's nothing in there.
Right.
That's great.
And like I said, they only made 36 of these cars, and out of the 36, 32 of them are still around, but this happens to be one of the most, well, it's considered the most original unrestored survivor left.
All right, so you've owned this car for 38 years. Have you ever thought about selling it?
Not really.
Not really? If you were to sell it, how much would you sell it for?
Well, Ford and Shelby American people tell me not less than $1 million.
$1 million.
And leave it exactly as it is.
As is. And you're not going to sell it?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. It's a beauty. And there's one question that we always ask at Street Riding American Style, and I never get to ask it, so I'm really excited. Can we hear this bad boy?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
This 1970 Cuda came stock from the factory with 500 plus horsepower. Now we know why its owner, Tim, has a smile on his face. With 500 plus horsepower, wouldn't you? We have Tim and his 70 Plymouth Barracuda next on Street Riding American Style.
Tim, what are we looking at here?
Well, you're looking at a 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, but it's a special Barracuda. It's the Hemi-Cuda model.
In 1970, a gallon of gas was 36 cents. American Motors started the production of the Gremlin, and one of the top shows on TV was the Flip Wilson Show.
Now, because it's a Hemi, is it a little bit more expensive that way, or can you get them about the same price as the regular Barracudas?
Well, back then it was about an $841 option.
Wait a minute, so back then, if you wanted a Hemi in it, it's going to cost $841 extra?
Yes.
What a steal! How many did you buy?
Well, unfortunately, it was later in life that I was able to purchase it.
What kind of power is underneath that hood?
Well, you have a 426 cubic inch, 425 horsepower published horsepower engine.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard reports that they would dyno up close to 600 horsepower.
600 horse. You think you're about 600?
5 to 600, somewhere in there. I haven't dynoed it, and it's a stock engine, so.
You ever try it out? See if there's a little power there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Once in a while, in a clear place, no traffic, I'll let it rip.
I was going to say, because you're getting a smile on your face already, because that must be an adrenaline.
You know, it is. It's a lot of fun, and when you step on it, that front carburetor opens up, and it howls.
When you can hear it. Okay, now you said front carburetor.
Right. Yeah,
dual quad?
Dual quads, and just idling and running around, it'll run on the back carburetor. Once you put the gas into it, the front opens up.
What do you think it's worth?
That's hard to say. A few years ago, they were going for $450. You know, the coupe.
Now, when you say $450, $450,000.
Yeah. Somebody offered me $600,000 at Barrett Jackson.
You didn't do it?
No, it's not for sale. And
you won't flex. Even when somebody says $600,000, your elbow didn't kind of twitch upward.
Well, I thought to myself, is this for real?
Really?
You know, but that same year, a convertible model of the Hemi sold for $2 million at the Barrett Jackson Scottsdale auction.
Really?
So they're very rare.
Okay, so all you need is like maybe a saw and just make this convertible and increase the value?
Well, it didn't come that way, so that wouldn't do us any good.
Too many rules.
Too many rules.
I love the pistol grip. That always draws my attention when I see the interior.
It's a lot of fun.
Now, when you get that pistol grip, do you feel like you're really ratcheting that thing back and forth?
Yeah, and it has quite a large throw compared to today's cars, yes.
Oh, so it's not really set up for racing, just for looks.
Well, it just takes more effort.
So you're working for your pleasure.
You're working for it.
Now, when you got this car, was it complete?
The car had just received a rotisserie restoration, but the mechanicals weren't very good.
Oh, really?
And so I went out searching for original parts, When I purchased the car, it didn't have the original block.
It didn't have the original block?
No, the rest of it was okay. The transmission, everything was original. But in 2007, I found the original block on eBay.
Wait. You were able to trace down the VIN number on eBay and that matched the original block?
You can set up searches on eBay and then they'll notify you when a certain item comes up for sale. And 426 Hemi block is what I had requested. Got an email one day. Here's an ad for a Hemi block and it's got my VIN number on it.
Now, what was the odds on that?
Almost impossible.
I'm going to say Las Vegas is not going to have their thumb on this one. Is there any fun stories about you in this car?
Oh, not too many I can think of, other than an occasional exercise of the engine. I've had it to the Mopar Nationals and the all Chrysler Nationals in Pennsylvania. Yeah. I guess the best story was on the way home from Pennsylvania, we blew the tranny in our tow car, and so.
So did you tow it with this?
No, I had to have a tow truck, 2 of them come, one for the trailer this was in, and the other one for the vehicle. So, but anyway, they kept wanting to know what was in the trailer, and I didn't want to tell them. I just said it was an old car. Well, what kind? I said it's just an old Plymouth, and that doesn't excite people too much. No. When I was getting ready to leave, they insisted I open it up and show them, and they were very surprised. I did. I mean, when you have the expectations of an old Plymouth, you don't expect a Hemi Cuda. No. Well, this is cool. Now, Tim, you got to do me a favor. Can we hear this bad boy? Okay.
That'd be great.
We'll crank it up.
This 1928 Ford Roadster is all motor, and it's coming up next on Street Routing American Style.
I got Lowell with me here, and you guys are not gonna believe this thing. This is his street rod. It's unbelievable. You can't walk through here without noticing this thing. Lowell, please tell me more about this thing.
Well, this was an old high school dream of mine in 1957, 58, 59. I bought this when I was a junior in high school.
1958, you pick up this bad boy. It didn't look like this.
It was a $350 car. It had a different engine, different transmission, and I drag raced it for 3-4 years. The car at that time would go 132 mile an hour in 10.20 second quarter miles on 2 carburetors and gas.
Does it scare you running with the open fenders on such a beautiful car? Do you put a lot of miles on the road?
I drive it everywhere. It's a driver.
This is your daily driver?
It's not a daily driver, but it's a show.
It's a driver.
It's a show driver. It's a street rod.
It's a street rod. We got to drive them, right?
Right.
What's so special about that motor?
It's an exotic 427 single overhead cam. Ford built this back in 1965 and 66 for NASCAR to race at Daytona.
So this is a NASCAR motor?
This is a NASCAR type motor. That's what it was built for. NASCAR would not approve it for racing because it made 650 horse at that point in time when cars were making about 4 1/4.
So if they would have come out there and blown away the competition, probably a Hemi or something like that, would have blown their doors off.
Right. And so Ford then had their engineering money invested in the engine, and they decided we're going to go with factory-back flip-top funny cars in the late 60s. Yeah. And so it became a drag race motor. You could buy these over the parts counter at a Ford dealer for $2,900.
Back in the 60s?
Back in the 60s. Today the motor is worth about 40 grand.
40 grand. How many of them were made back in the 60s?
There is an estimation of probably 300 built. Most of them ended up in funny fuel cars and top fuel rails. Connie Coletta, Don Perdone, the Snake, they all ran these back in the 60s until the aftermarket engines came out.
So now you've got a $40,000 motor. You told me this. And you're working on it yourself.
Yes.
Don't you kind of get scared there? Because is it putting out 600 horses now? What do you think it's got in it now?
I'll give you a ride and you'll think so.
Let's go. I'm ready to go right now.
It'll fly. It's really a dangerous car. It goes up faster than you can shut it down.
Now I noticed you went with a quick change rear end on this thing. What made you decide to do that?
That was a dream. I've always wanted one. I'd seen some in some of the 50s street rods out of California.
Is there anything else special about this car? Is there something awesome that you could say about this thing?
I was national champion in 81 and 82.
That is pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Well, Lowell, I tell you what, man, I'm gonna take you up on that ride someday. But for now, I gotta hear this bad boy. Can we fire it up?
We can do that.
Let's do it, man.
Everybody loves a good mystery, and Rick's Shelby is loaded with mystery. Listen to the clues and see what answer you come up with next on Street Rotting American Style.
Okay, Rick, I'm standing in front of your gorgeous Shelby. It is just immaculate. I know there's a mystery behind this car. You've got to tell me about it.
Well, it's kind of a fascinating story. I've always wanted a Shelby, and a friend of mine found one, and when it was delivered to me, it was in pieces. In fact, my wife looked at this car and said, "You're buying this?" And,
yeah, I know that look. I do.
and when the gentleman dropped it off, I saw a white interior and I saw a black interior, and I said, "What's up with the two colors?"
Right.
And he says, "Oh, I don't know, some rock star's car." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Who is it?" And he just kind of looked down and he says, "Doors." And I said, "Jim Morrison," because I'm a rock and roll fan. And
so were you stoked right away and like, I have Jim Morrison's car? What am I gonna do?
Well, no, the first thing that you do, obviously, is you want to see, well, is it real or is it not real?
Right.
And so we've done a number of phone calls, talked to his ex-manager and a bunch of people from California. And
okay, so you're not necessarily convinced that this is Jim Morrison's car, or are you?
No. The thing I want to do is, obviously, in anything that's written about this car that I've had out, we always put you decide. Because the only thing we want to do is lay it out. But you know, there's a lot of coincidental or romance to this car, if you will.
Okay, so when you say you decide, I'm going to get to decide here. Tell me the facts. Tell me what you know that ties this car to Jim Morrison.
Well, what happened first was after the Doors were immensely popular, the president of Elektra Records decided to reward each of the band members with a gift. And they went to Jim Morrison and he says, "I want a Shelby," which was kind of a strange thing because Morrison had never owned a car before. They were doing a concert at Whiskey A Go-Go, which a lot of people have heard about, and Jim was on Sunset Boulevard. And a lot of people don't know, but you know, back then maybe there was a little alcohol, who knows, but he wrecked the car.
Spirits before the show.
That's right, and he wrecked the car into a pole. So as I'm doing the research, when I see my title, is the latest that it goes back to is in 1994, I believe, and it's out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I called the gentleman up and I said, got a hold of him, and I said, I wanted to talk to you about the history of the car. He says, "Boy, you've got some prominence on that car." And I said, "Well, really, tell me what you know." And I didn't say a word to him. And he says, "Well,
give me the scoop."
He said, "You own Jim Morrison's car." And I said, "No, I'm hearing that, but I'm trying to disprove it because." I told him, because I said when they looked at the damage and repaired it while the car's being repaired, I said, look at the right rear quarter and make sure where it was wrecked. Make sure that there was aftermarket, maybe a aftermarket quarter that would say that isn't it. He says, no, it's original Ford part. And he says, I'm telling you, I've seen your car with his name on it, your VIN card, and it was sold right there. He says, here's the deal. He says, people don't realize Morrison lived in Albuquerque. And I said, well, okay, well, that kind of makes sense.
So we have the mystery phone call. We have the matching damage.
Right.
We have the Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And then there's the bullets.
And there's the bullets.
Okay.
What about these bullets?
Well, this is kind of interesting, too. Well, David was taking the car apart here in Wichita. In the right heater vent there, a defroster vent. He called me up one day and he says, guess what I found in your car? And I said, what'd you find? And he says, I found 6 unshot .357 Magnum bullets.
Okay, so we're saying Jim Morrison owned a .357?
Yeah, that's why I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, well, let me tell you what I did. He says, I got a hold of them out there in California. He says, nah, he says, Morrison never had a gun, but his bodyguard had a .357.
Oh my gosh.
Which kind of makes sense. So I thought, well,
so yet another piece of the puzzle.
Well, it's ironic, but that's what's happened. So those are the pieces. But I've never promoted that this is his car. I'm just saying that it's those are the facts, and you take a look at it and see what people think.
I gotta say, I am convinced. Listening to all of that, I am ready for that final piece to prove that this car is Jim Morrison's car.
Well, and I'm hoping that you guys, maybe by if some people, if there's any, we'd sure like to know the history, and maybe there's somebody there who can help us with it.
Well, Rick, Jim Morrison's car or not, this is a beautiful Shelby, and there's definitely romance to mystery here. And another mystery, is Jim Morrison even dead? I know he has a tombstone in Paris, but you know what? I bet you might see him and Elvis driving around in a new Shelby. But for now, Jim Morrison's car or not, you decide.
Okay, so I have been looking all around for David. Do you know where he's at?
Oh yeah, he's inside at the Ford demo challenging Mike Berry of the Wichita Wheels to a drag race.
Okay, that is really cool, but my money is totally on Mike.
Well, why Mike?
Because he's taller.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm taking a blue car. You okay with the red car?
Well, I'll have to make it work. I've had one red car in my life.
Yeah.
It was a Comet GT, and I whipped a Trans Am with it.
Oh, I got him. He thinks he's got me. He's dead meat.
I think not.
Okay, Jess, you're officiating this here? Yeah. Okay, here's a 20. Keep it fair, okay? Because I want a little head start, you know. Do I get a little pre-roll here? Can I overstage this thing? Oh, I'm passing like he's standing still. Well, actually he is. Who won that one? You did. Ha! I was trying to cheat, but cheating just means you care about winning. Mike, thanks a lot. It was a great race.
You bet.
Sorry, there was so much going on today at the Blacktop Nationals.
Man.
I don't have any idea how to even wrap this all up.
Well, let's just say this. If you want to experience more awesome rides, join us again next week and see why street riding is not just a hobby.
It's an addiction.
Support for Street Riding American Style is provided in part by BG Products Incorporated. BG Products Incorporated is dedicated to making vehicles last longer and perform better in the meantime. In shops all over the world, BG Products serves the driving public with innovative products and proven programs of automotive maintenance. More information can be found at bgfindashop.com.